It's always exciting to think about what kinds of technology are going to be coming to us in the future. By extrapolating from current trends, we can make some good guesses about some of the astonishing inventions that are going to be around 30 or 50 years from now. Yet when we imagine the technology of the future, too often we restrict our imaginations to particular areas. We think a lot about what's going to happen around things like high-speed air travel, space exploration, energy generation, telecommunications, and warfare. But the potential of technology is in truth going to be far broader than this. In the future, technology will first and foremost develop to help us deal more successfully with our emotional lives. Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence, robotics, and nanoengineering, we predict we're going to see an explosion in what we like to call emotional technology. Here are our predictions about 4 inventions we feel sure will exist in half a century or so, especially if we talk enough about them today. One of the major sources of conflict and grief between people, especially in relationships, stems from how bad we are at explaining the contents of our minds to other people. In short, we're appalling communicators. We grunt, we can't find the words, we bottle up feelings, we don't know what's going on inside us, and therefore can't signal our needs to others. When we're on the receiving end of inaccurately communicated feelings, we tend to make bad guesses about what might be going on in the other person. We get overly alarmed. We come up with jumpy, ungenerous stories. Our guesses make things far worse than they usually need to be. Just as we invented the wheel because our legs were imperfect and the bucket because our fingers couldn't carry water, so we will invent the mood reader to counteract some of our natural weaknesses around interpreting others. The mood reader will be able to give people close to us, whom we elect, beautifully expressed executive summaries of what we're really feeling at a given point, laid out in ways that are accurate, generous, and imaginative, like something a great novelist would come up with. When you come home from work and don't have the energy or insight to say what's on your mind, the mood reader will take care of it. It will explain that you're not angry, you're just exhausted. Or at a party, when you flirt with a person, the mood reader will explain that it's not that you don't love your partner anymore, it's just that occasionally you need to know you can still attract. It might have looked like a horrid betrayal, yet really it was simply just a bit of meaningless fun. Currently, too often, a person in a couple will say in despair, after a long sulk or argument, "How did you expect me to be a mind reader?" Well, technology will spare us the cumulative years of sulks and arguments by allowing us to be, for a time, just that. In the future, we'll look back in horror at the primitive dating websites of today. The spouse finder of 2050 will be an expert at finding you a match, partly because everyone on the planet will be registered with it, but just as importantly, because it will have such an acute understanding of our deepest needs and emotional vulnerabilities, even those we don't quite understand ourselves or are not good at acknowledging. The spouse finder will have a picture of our long-term development in its memory. It will, for example, know that we might need someone who can occasionally stand up to us, though will do so kindly and not break us as they do so. The spouse finder won't be driven by an illusory goal of mutual bliss or trouble-free love. It will know that all relationships have areas of deep compromise, but it will try to direct us towards the best available fit given our nature and that of the rest of the human race. The spouse finder will know us and others so well, it'll have the authority to convince us, when we do hit tricky patches with a partner it's found us, that for all its faults, our relationship really is the best available for us. It'll give us the confidence to believe that the trickiness of our couple emerges not so much from the other person as from the inherent difficulty of being with anyone. The couple finder will put a lid on the persistent idea currently responsible for so many tragically broken homes that we could be happy if we just went off with someone else who looks pretty nice on their profile photo. Named after the world's greatest early philosopher, Socrates, who famously said that the first philosophical priority is to know yourself, Socrates will be a piece of wearable emotional technology that will make up for our failures of self-knowledge in real time. We imagine it as a kind of wearable life coach with a total understanding of our mental health, who we are, and what we need to thrive emotionally. At key moments, Socrates will be on hand to temper our excesses and correct our emotional blind spots. It will know when we're getting to an angry outburst and counsel us wisely before it's too late. It will sense mounting panic and be on hand immediately with the most soothing insights humanity has ever had. It'll wean us away from unhelpful desires and compulsions towards more fruitful and enriching pursuits. It'll know when we need an extra challenge. It will ensure that we can at all times be the best version of ourselves. We have so much that's precious, clever, and creative inside of us, but rarely do we have the insight and opportunity to externalize our talents and put them to productive use in the economy. What's on our business card seldom reflects our deepest possibilities. The career locator will understand our true potential and have the ability to mine it while there's still time, bringing it to the surface and matching it to the requirements of the economy. It will tease out the latent talent or genius that exists in all of us. It will know before we do where our true destiny lies. It will know how we measure up to others and what our chances of success in a given field really are. It will once and for all do away with the terrible panic and sadness we tend to feel, often on Sunday evenings, as we realize that we're heading to the grave with the most precious parts of us still unexploited. The promise of technology has always been that it will make life more convenient and less painful. But to date, we haven't managed to focus our technological efforts on the biggest sources of discontent, which aren't to do with the size of our phones or the speed of our planes, but with our emotional lives and the turmoil caused in them by our self-ignorance, cognitive frailty, and inner blindness. That is the astonishing promise of the upcoming age of emotional technology.